Good morning, good morning, good morning. Unfortunate catchphrase, I think. But nevertheless. Still feel like shit today. Just feel like I do have a weird feeling somewhere floating around that something is happening today. Kind of started getting it yesterday. I was like, oh, something's going to drop. This is kind of the place that I live in more and more and more and more intensely till it's just like dropping me. Like I know something is about to happen. And the weird thing is like I don't, I'm not that. Like I've got some ideas, but at the end of the day, I've never know whether that means directly to me or whether that means to my town or to the world. It does feel large. It feels like something very large is about to happen. And yeah, it's strange. It's like, obviously I've got this thing that's making me sick. I'm doing this stuff with my hips, which is just exhausting me. And then there's this in the background, and it's like the feeling of it. So this is where I run into trouble with mainstream psychology or something like that, because like if I was just to describe it, I'd go, well, yeah, I have a sense of hopelessness. And I just kind of think somehow with all this analysis going on in the world, it's like we've gotten to a point where it's like I can go to anywhere and be like, oh, I feel really low energy, quite depressed and quite hopeless. And it's like they'll go, oh yeah, you've got this issue, here, have this. And it's kind of like, at what percentage of people experiencing that do we start going, maybe this isn't an individual issue, maybe this is a symptom of a societal or an environmental issue. And it just like being stuck in that, like knowing that is just weird. It leaves me with no options to just kind of sit, wait and observe. Like I know if I'm looking at a tree or something like that, and this particular tree looks bad, it's not growing, do you know what I mean? It just looks off. It's like, it's never the tree. The same like an animal. If I look at the animal, it's like I'm never like, sometimes like my dog has actually got some weird neurosis somewhere in it. A lot of that's personality, I suppose, but it's never the fucking dog. If she's a bit off, I'm like, what's she eating? She got an infection or something. It's like, it's always that. And I actually think, the strongest one, my mother has bipolar disorder. And I 100% know if I went and spoke to anyone, I could more than likely walk out of there with that same shiny diagnosis. But considering I have the two skill sets, one, I know how to not be disruptive. I have no intention in disrupting anyone around me, although it does happen because basically because I don't agree that what's going on collectively is a good idea. And so when I'm in opposition with the collective, it's far easier for that collective to point at me and have me as the issue rather than the collective as the issue. And I think this is what gave birth to these so-called conditions. And like, just quite simply so what is bipolar disorder? It's where you go up, have mania, where you think you can enact change on the world. Like, that's one of the greatest things. It's one of like delusions of grandeur. It's like, that's quite often how it manifests. Is like, you believe you have an authority to make changes in the world. And then you have a period of depression. It's like, maybe your instinctual, call that's activated is to make changes in the way things are. And then because you don't do it, you get incredibly depressed. Because the scale of that challenge is too large. You then are depressed because you failed at your only job that you had, that you were given purely by your particular arrangement. That makes a lot more sense to me, especially considering that I spoke about this a little bit yesterday. Sorry, I have hair and it's throwing me off. That the thing I never heard spoke about is we looked at this as this recent pandemic, as a virus. This virus is going to kill us all. It's a fucking virus that tries to think. It's like, that's never been the real problem with pandemics in our era. The fear of these pandemics in our era is all to do with the fact that we move people and things all around the world with our technology. So even that, it gets positioned as a vaccine, as a virus, this evil outsider thing that's coming to kill us, that has evolved purely just to kill us. But it's like, no. For the majority of human history, a virus would only be able to infect a certain area because people didn't move that much and people didn't interact with all the other people. So, in effect, it's like, it's not the virus, it's our technology. And if we implant anything into that system of distribution or logistics, it has the same potential to be as destructive, whether that be a virus, whether that be a bacteria, or whether that be an idea or anything else, or a product that might have crazy side effects. So when you like filter through the bullshit that has been sold to us, that this is a virus and we need to attack the virus and we need to make a new technology to fight the virus. But it's like, no, the technology is what fucking enabled the virus to move. We distributed the virus, not the virus. And the chance that we distribute a cure or a potion for that virus, especially if it's something that hasn't been used, it's like, we obviously then have the same risk of distributing another problem on top of a problem that we're already having. And then that is infinite. That is a giant pile of problems. When you have distribution, you by its very nature, like this is what quarantine is, right? Quarantine is this for plants and animals and insects. It's like, we know that this is a threat, but there are so many things that we're not quarantining for that are just getting waved through, that can sit like just dormant in our society. Like, we don't know how, if there's a real crisis, it's like, do you think it's been good? It's been a good thing that we've had every kid for the last 20 years playing Grand Theft Auto, in which they go around fucking killing people and running people over. Like, that wasn't distributed. That type of behavior So the same as anything wasn't distributed. All those things are perhaps sitting there in dormant. Like, we don't know. We just saw a pandemic. If anything, maybe that's what the pandemic was. Again, it was just a trial to be like, all right, what are people going to do? And we kind of saw it. It's like everyone freaked out. Everyone went and got food. Everyone went and got toilet paper. There were fights in the fucking thing. And there was riots and all this shit. And there was massive totalitarian power. And it's like, maybe that was needed. Who knows? But then to just go into it, it's like you've broken the fucking ceiling with this. It's just no one, the majority of people just don't fucking care. They just want to do this thing. But it's like my personality, literally the way I'm wired, it's like this is now fucked. Because I know that exponential rise in distributed potential problems is just sitting there and no one is fucking looking at it. So it's like literally at minimum 1,000 pandemics are going on right now with the same level of risk, the same level of like chaos it's going to cause, and they're just sitting there. And it's gotten to like, I had periods where, especially when I realized what the financial system was 15 years ago, I put a lot of work in and got to the bottom of it and figured it out. And I knew that it was bullshit, and that at some point we're going to face that. But the fact that we've just piled structure on top of that already bullshit thing, and it just like, and it's plugged into everything, is just, I can't fucking deal with it anymore. You know what I mean? And the problem isn't somewhere like, the answer isn't me to go somewhere and go, oh, I've just, what is this, a breakdown or a fucking, it's not that. That's fucking real. I know where I can live. I know what I can do. But even that, it's still fucking hell, you're gonna fucking plow through that as well. So it's just it's just a fucking trap. And every day I'll try and go, because really I've rejected that system. You know what I mean? I would like a passport out of it. I'd like a visitor's passport. I don't want to interact with it at all. Really, that's like the core of me. I want to not be a part of that thing. And even the entry points I get, I'm like, well, if I've got to be here, if you're going to fucking, you know what I mean? If I chucked a wobbly and fucking had a breakdown, it's like, you're going to look after me, you're going to do all this shit, because that's what your society so-called does. It's like, wow, you're so fucking amazing. But what options do I have if I don't do that? If I don't go submit and go, my mind is broken, because I'm not going to do that. But you've taken someone who is in a top percentile of conscientiousness, who is fucking literally educated themselves, strive to build like new business, all this shit that's talked about. And I've just exposed that it is just fucked. The only, like, this is how they've got that entire structure. It's like YouTube. If you, like, that's how the whole world is built now. It's like, you can be a YouTuber, but if you go on YouTube and try and make a new fucking YouTube, then you'll come and get, I mean, you can't. So imagine that. You can't, like, it's very different to all the, like, you could have, say, newspapers. There was newspapers, and there was a huge point of entry. You had to have a big printing press and this thing and enough money to do it. You had to be able to, like that. So there's always been a thing. But when you control the whole framework. So you control the video platform and then you control the search. You can't get in there. You just can't. And so and they're playing ball so much with something that there's just rejection. Like this is a challenge to you. Go onto YouTube. This is on YouTube, so you're already here. Obviously, everyone knows there are conspiracy theories going around, or conspiracy facts now, fucking whatever. And even that, it's like a lot of the conspiracy is bullshit, but there's obviously something fucking going on with the vaccine. You know what I mean? So go and type vaccine conspiracy into fucking YouTube, and you will find that you will get to the fucking R of conspiracy at the end, the R at the end, or the C, or whatever the fuck it is, before you get that suggestion come up. And then when you then finally get through to the results that I've had 15 years of observing, I then see, isn't it strange that all the results are from 2 years ago? That's 2 years ago, all the results. And all the results are framing conspiracy about the vaccine in a negative light, except the odd token one that they have to have there. Like, I can tell when something is synthetic, when something is created it's there to look like that. It's a sign. It's not fucking valid search results. And so this is and this is everywhere. And we're fucking sick of it. Like, this is, it just, we're not fucking doing that. No one voted this thing in. This goes beyond protecting your product. Those two entities, Google and YouTube, that's the fucking Encyclopedia Britannica. And we need to be able to accurately navigate the world we live in. If we go and gatekeep facts, we're on a fucking suicide mission. One of the greatest threats to humankind is the destruction of ecosystems and the destruction of soil. The sterilizing of thousands and thousands, millions of hectares of soil that has a regeneration period in the thousands of years naturally. And it is just not, it is not discussed anywhere. So if you know that, you just kind of fuck you. And we have, for some reason, this isn't, so if someone comes onto my property and whatever, even then, I think if I fucking hit them and kill them, I'm gonna go to jail. But it's what the fuck is this shit? I think there's two schools of thought. There's people that are just we're all fucked, so let's make as much money, do as much cocaine, and fucking fuck as much hookers as we can into oblivion. And I don't know whether I'm just being completely naive or whether the 15 years of educating myself about these regeneration processes has given me an optimism that is just silly. But I really do have a hope that we can turn this around, but we need to all turn it around. And I think if anything was learnt from the pandemic, it's that we can do it. I think unlike just being lock you in your fucking homes and watch fucking Netflix and porn and get Uber Eats. but like, why? And that's for one thing, one distributed problem. It's like, what if it's like, oh, we have really big problems. We have the largest problems on Earth everywhere, all at the same time. We need to all fix this right now. And we need to all do whatever it takes globally. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's sitting there waiting for war. It's like, what if that war is that spirit of war is invoked in the same way? And people can do things. Like, if we had 2 months of intense planting, right? Pretty much whatever. Like, in every unused space, we just plant whatever we fucking can. You know what I mean? We go and plant, like, we just take cuttings from everything we have. Luckily, this is kind of a weird thing of cities, is like, we have this like large collection of stock of vegetative matter. So, like, if we took 2 months and we said, right, everyone needs to fucking, like, make this as a priority to whatever level you can do it at. And we don't have to enforce it, because it's like, there's obviously just going to be people that are like, fuck this, we got 2 weeks, 2 months off, we're just going to watch Netflix. But I think if you're like, yeah, we have a biodiversity fucking epidemic, we have a destruction of our ecosystem epidemic, we're going to take 2 months, we're going to stop everything that's not. Because we're going to do it, like, if there's going to be a war or a cyber attack or a fucking another pandemic, whatever, we're going to do this anyway. And the whole purpose is we need to plant biodiversity in our unused areas immediately so that we have a bank of biodiversity. And we don't know what's going to happen in those environments. If we can stimulate those environments to hold more moisture, to have more microbiology going on, they're like massive petri dishes of experiments. There is millions and millions of experiments going on in healthy soil every second, in every square centimetre of it. And we need all of that. So if there is plastic in there, it's like, they can maybe do it. If they're like, what it's like, it's literally like when you think of like a witch or a wizard with a cauldron. Like, that's what you've got to think of when you see soil. When you like, that whole system under the ground and above the ground is like a giant cauldron. There is so many millions of things going on there that we could never number them. There is so many like offshoots, splits, like experiments, failed experiments, anything. And so, like, almost definitely, if we create, and you could do this in water, like, you could do this in an experiment, like, sped up, like, way, like in a more intense way. We can, aerate water with nutrient, maybe infuse it with plastic and have 100 of those things going on. I guarantee you at some point the plastic is going to get consumed, because it's like we're creating 1 billion universes a second. And so something in there is going to work. And this is just what we aren't doing. Like, we've got to stop. We've gone off into just that our mental stimulation is the only thing that matters. And everything, the world is being chewed up to just stimulate us. And it's not an overstatement. And I know you can sit there and go, well, you're just a fucking nerd, so you get stimulated by that. But what about people that don't? It's like, give them a chance to do it. Like, the reason it's about telling the right fucking story to what it is. you're not gonna, it's everything that's being attempted is this like low level, like we sit and watch movies about the world ending, and we listen to the Bibles, constantly the world's ending, being destroyed, and then when the pandemic was, everyone was saying the world's gonna fucking end. But then with the environment, we're like, we do have the kind of, we're like climate change, but it's like, everyone's sick of it, and there's nothing, it's like, what are we the fucking gonna do? It's almost like climate change is the like, it's the fucking climate. What are we gonna do with that? And everything focuses around what we're doing that we shouldn't be doing. This is the key. Everything in climate change, we're doing this and we shouldn't be doing this. But everyone knows it's like, we're not gonna stop. I watched the thing the other day and they were like, when everyone said to stop buying SUVs, that was when SUVs became the most popular fucking car after that period. I lived through it. In Australia, we're like, oh, we've got climate change, we've got this, we're all driving around in these sedans, and then it became like climate change, everyone needs to stop thinking, and then now everyone is driving these giant fucking cars. So we're known to be counterintuitive. It's like porn's bad. Well, the porn is fucking gone through the roof. We've got to start learning that when we're fucking not going to do as we're told. Like, that should be the rule. If someone says it's bad, it's like, yeah, that's when we'll fucking double down on it. Because it becomes like taboo. It becomes a point of to be rebellious. And this is saying like in all like low level criminal activity. Like all of that is being done because like that is positively reinforced by a certain percentage of women. Still now. That's why it exists. So even that, it's like we blame it all on this men. It's like, why are there still women fucking those dudes? Because it's thousands of years of biology. Someone who can do that and be rebellious against these things, it's like they can probably handle themselves. And it's like, this is where it's funny. It's like, I'm going to have to end up being rebellious and doing this whatever to try and fix the fucking problem. Because it's so... It's the same as like everyone's just going off that cycle. And I think weirdly, so I'm way off down the weeds now. One thing I have my eye on to do with society right now is it's something that can't really be spoken about, and that's always the point that I like to jump in and start talking, because I know that no one's going to do it, so I'm going to fucking try and do it. But you do not understand, like, it's this thing that like a lot of men just won't talk about. Like I've known and interacted with a lot of women. No women understand this, really. They have a projection of it, the same way we don't understand you. You don't understand men. And these are the two factors that I can't escape from. And so I am certain we are going to be living in a very, very different world because of these two advancements. And this is like one. We love women, right? Men love women. But there are two very clear ways that men love women. And they're not at all connected. And you might get some guy saying it is, and that's cool. That guy's just trying to fucking appear like a different thing. That guy is keeping his fucking his shells protected in his little... He's like, well, I'm not going to fucking risk saying that. But for my entire life, and this is to do with technological advance, it's like I've always lived between real women and an artificial woman. The problem is that so if I have a woman, say a wife or a close girlfriend, something it's because of them, right? All the sex things is like that's just there because it's there. But you don't decide to link permanently or like semi-permanently with a woman purely because of sex. It doesn't, and I think this is like the one area. It's like women all kind of think of men of just obsessed with sex. It's like, yeah, we are obsessed with sex, but that's not why we marry you. Like, it's actually, the funniest thing is, we marry you despite our obsession with sex. It's counterintuitive to our instincts. We don't want to do it because it will inevitably limit our fucking sex. Like this is, and there is a scale of that. So some men are just kind of like, fuck. Like if they haven't done well with sex, or they're not confident, or whatever, or they haven't, lots of different reasons, they're just kind of like, they just grab on and they're just like, yep, this will do, I'm done. But if they did have, endless options or were doing well, the higher up that thing, the less likely they want to have sex, they want to get married, because it's like cutting off your dick in a certain way, even though you still may get access to sex. With men, it's like sex goes down this, it's like we have a diversity of figures kind of mindset that, unfortunately, it's like this is an unfortunate, in the idea of marriage, if you put marriage as the perfect thing, then this is in direct conflict with the idea of marriage. That's why marriage is so beautiful, because it's like cutting off your leg to be with someone. It's like, hey, I could do this, or I could cut my fucking leg off and be tied to you forever. Like, please take my sacrifice. And I think that used to be way more known by women. And now it's just not. It's got twisted as this fucking thing of like, the woman is the prize. And that's a creation of myth. It's a creation of narrative for the last 50, 60 years that is the case. If you go watch even old movies, it's like, it's never that. Women are a fucking pain in the ass. They're an incredible liability. So are children. And very quickly after being with a woman, it's like men lose interest. No, they don't. I never lose complete interest, but I lose that monogamous feeling pretty quick. Like, it's a real intense thing in the beginning, and then it becomes like, fucking hell, I've chopped off my own leg and now I'm stuck with it. And like, that's just, everyone wants to turn that and go, that's just you, mate. You're just a bad person. It's just not true, and we're about to find that out. Because what we have with technology, what we're about to have, and I can guarantee this, and I can fucking speak from absolute certainty and absolute like experience, that these technologies are going to they're going to quench that thirst. And it's already too late to stop it. So the funniest thing is, like, women, there's two things. One, you do not realize how much technology has assisted you. That reason you think of yourself as the prize is purely because of technology. Because all the things that you do for a family in a household have all had massive technological advancements. So the fact that it's like your daily tasks are all just effortless now. And this is what has got you to the point where you're doing yoga, walking with the girls, and watching Netflix for fucking multiple hours a day. But the difference is, so that was your particular, so technology, because women were like the purchasing thing, men just won't purchase things. Except one fucking thing in the past. They just don't need things. They don't want them. They don't care. Men would literally live in swags. Like in community, it's like, obviously there's men that want to live in houses, but a lot of that reason is like, if they're single, they want to have a house to bring women there. It's the only reason. So what's going to happen? We're going to have distributed sexual experiences for men, and a lot of men who would never have a hope in hell of having these things is going to be very affordable and very convenient and very amazing. And it's like, we don't fucking, and you can't turn it off. You're not going to stop that, because it's distributed supply and unquenchable demand. And as soon as that goes off into digital replication, it's like we're going to be in a very interesting point. And this is the same as like mass-produced washing machines. You know what I mean? Like mass-produced washing machines probably created divorce in a way. Because for two reasons. One, like a lot of women are like in history, like have infidelity on their behalf. It's not always the man. It's like a lot of times it's the women. If they've got more time, if they're not fucking washing clothes with a rock, like that just opened that door. They wanted to do, it's like if they weren't doing the washing, they wanted to do more. So it's like, and then even things like the salesman selling them the washing machine, the fact that they don't smell and they have clean clothes all the time because there's lots of things that all factored in to this. So it's like technology has been doing this type of thing for hundreds of years. But this factor that there is going to be like very affordable distributed sexual gratification for men is going to irreversibly change the marital environment. Like there is no way it's not going to. Like it's going to change the entire fucking world. And it's kind of why it's so funny to me that, see, my project, Scale Matters project, is a big screen. I know these fucking goggles and shit are going to be perpetuated because of course they are, because they're really cheap. So say this new Apple thing is $3,500. Everyone's gonna pay that. Everyone's gonna fucking buy it at some point. It'll be like, it's gonna be like the adult version of like a game console back when we were kids. It'll be like someone will get it. One of your mates will get it and they'll be like, holy shit. And then it'll be like, oh, use it. And then it'll be like, da-da-da-da-da. And it's all to do with sex. All of it. It's like this fucking thing that's like, it's so scary to me because I'm like, in one way I go, well, this feels like a gift from, you know, these entities that I give a lot of shit to. I'm like, fucking hell, that's going to be fucking crazy. Like, thanks guys, fucking Jesus Christ. Like that's kind of, and that's funny to say. It's like, because you're so used to men being like, I don't use things like that. I want to just go and plant trees in the Andes. All that behavior from men, all that shit, all that fucking posturing and virtue signaling all exists for them to go and get women. It's like, if that is filled, and this isn't some incel shit, because like for me, you know, you've heard from the incels. The incels are people too. They're guys too. I've known a lot of guys that are fucking, they're not incels. They're like, they've been imposed celibacy by all you cunts trying to fucking fuck Mr. Right, the same Mr. Right. All of like, so it's like those guys, they're not fucking incels. Don't fucking talk about them like that, you cunts. They're probably your fucking husband 100 years ago that would have, you know, that would have died for you. And now they're some fucking, they're labeled with some bullshit fucking word. And it's like, yeah, have fun when those guys are just, they're just rolling around in Genghis Khan pussy. You know what I mean? This is going to change the entire fucking world. And guys have this thing where it's like, we're all competing for women, da-da-da. If that's all gone, we don't fucking care. We're not got like so many things, like even me, how I could be like, sometimes I'll be like, oh, you fucking nerd, da-da-da-da-da. Because there is a bit of a war going on there. But it's like, if that's all just sorted, it's all peace, man. And your fucking bullshit wars that, like, to provide women with 6-bedroom fucking houses and 2 fucking SUVs in the driveway. It's like, that's not gonna fucking fly. And it's the funniest thing is, it's women that have done this. It's other women. Like, other women are going to destroy your little game. Not men. Men are playing a massive part in it. But this is the washing machine for men. Really. And it's so... Like, I have this mixture of like, one, I'm kind of just like, holy shit, I wonder if they know. And they obviously know. And so the fact that this is just coming in, it's like, because they're nerds. They want to look after their own. And they're going to look after their own. And if you get to a thing where you're like, well, we're going to stop it because women will all team up and not stop it. One, there is already enough content out there to create infinite amounts of this. So you're fucked. Two, there is one woman. It's almost like the ultimate cure to all the shit that women whinge about, like sexual abuse, all this shit. It's like one woman can satisfy every man on earth. Every single man on earth. That's why they keep doing it. The fucking numbers. That's why there's just free porn everywhere. Because, like, all you need is like 1% of the planet to pay a very small amount to observe that one time, and then that exists in perpetuity forever. Every day, over and over again, 1,000 million times. It has a distribution, because it's digital, it's like, it's not even a fucking washing machine. A washing machine distribution was way harder than that. And the funny place I get to, when I've had conversations about this, women get really funny. They're like, what the fuck, da 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 da. And I'm kind of like, oi, I didn't make it. I'm just observing it and speaking about it. And like, what did you think was going to happen? And the problem is, so I'm not going to stop that at all. I have no hope, no hope, no real concern. Like, I'm like, and I do have, I'm like, yeah, I'll get one. Of course I'll fucking get one. Fuck's sake. But this is my caveat. This is what Scale Matters is, right? If we don't have something like that, that is very different, that is very real, then we're all going to go to hell very quickly. I can guarantee you. There needs to be. So we live in a world where you can go, like, I love the idea of teenagers watching this, like, your mum's got a big old fucking dildo in her fucking drawer. We live in that world. We've lived in that world for a long fucking time. And it lives in the drawer. Okay? We know how to have these things. We know how to have these split, like, worlds of, like, taboo and non-taboo, and mass consumption and shadowy sexual weirdness. Not even weirdness. Not weirdness. It's just, it's thing and this. We will need a higher level of interaction to be able to absorb this thing. I am fucking telling you. I've put my entire reputation, my entire life, my entire everything on hold to make this point, because I got it shown to me in such a way that it could not be ignored. We need an accurate interpretation. Otherwise, we will lose everything. Okay? Like, it's the only thing that can keep this whole structure going with this new advancement, because we're going to lose. So, like, there's a way that this works where there is just like a massive, the way I kind of see it, I actually think that you will see a certain percentage of men who have been denied access to women. So they've been, like, the tippy tip of them have been forced to become gigantic fucking entrepreneurs and own the world, basically. That's how strong this desire is. Okay? There's no other reason for it. That's the only reason that they did that. is to one, do it, and to one, prove that they could do it because they weren't getting it naturally given to them. So there's like, it's a huge thing. If that's satisfied, it's like, then we have the smartest people in the world in all different areas. Able to work on whatever they want. And also there'll be an increasing like lack of interest in women, and then and women have like a high fucking women appearing sex, that whole thing. It's like that's a hugely wasteful and polluting enterprise. And so like it's so weird because women are going to have to adapt. And men have already gone through this cycle. So if you're sitting there going like, oh, this is fucked, women are going to be possessed again and dispossessed and all this shit, it's like, you've already done it to men. If you, like, in this age for the last 20 years, it's like women have not been the fucking slaves, girls, darlings, at all. And I think like this is going to unwrite that at such a pace that it terrifies. It does fucking terrify me because there's so many unknowns. If I like start digging into that, I'm like, and I know what the incentive model is for most men, and I just see, I see like a mass slowing down of things. I just see this. It cannot be the same. It's just not going to be anything like the same. And I can't help but think that there'll be like actually like a period of peace, because it's like all wars are kind of track back to this type of thing. And so it's like, it's like abundance, like scarcity is what we have. Wars because of scarcity. And if that particular scarce, and women have existed by making themselves even more scarce. Like that is the whole job of a woman, is making themselves more scarce. And so we're just going to have, fucking hell. Like there's so many ways that I can't help but fucking notice. And it does, because so say the incels, if you go, or there's an incels, rah, they're fucking weird, like whatever. It's like, nah, they can be nice fucking guys. They're just not as adapted to what you want, but they're usually way more useful than every other guy that you do want in some very, very particular way. So they're all necessary. And this is this women thing. It's like, because you don't want to fuck him, he's not necessary. Fuck you. Do you know what I mean? And it's time for men to kind of get around this shit and stop fucking... And this is the thing. If we're not competing for this shit, like, that's all competition. If I'm like, that guy's a fucking loser, that guy's whatever, that's, fucking suck my dick. That's all that is, competition. Women do it as well. But if everyone's got this thing where it's like, mate, just go in the box for 10 minutes. Sorry, guys, I got out of hand. I got a bit fucking competitive. We're all in this together. Like... It's a different fucking world. And for me personally, who I will always have a hunger, a desire for actual in-person things, because I developed that way. It's like, it's not going to fucking hurt that. Because there's just going to be way less people trying to do that because they're just satisfied in every other way. And so that, it feels like just a fucking, like I look and I'm like, it's why I can't. I'm glad this is 50 minutes in that I'm getting to this point, because it's really rare that anyone's going to listen to it. if you do, just put a little tick in the fucking thing if you've listened this far, and I'll have a slight panic attack. But it's why I look at the film, I'm like, that's there. They're shipping it already. They're already shipping it. This has already happened. We're in this already. It's like, that's why I'm like, there's not going to be, like, everything else is going to become less. It's like, what the fuck? We're going to be, like, it's just going to be so different. All the things, I don't think you understand. Everything. Are competition things of men. I think there'll be like, I can actually see from this, we go, this happens, everyone goes fucking in a frenzy, just like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmingly satisfied by this technology, literally, that it's like any level of competition now just doesn't make sense. It's like, why would I fucking do anything? Can we just have a uniform? Like, we all wore uniforms. We all wore uniforms to school. It's like, can we just have a uniform now? I don't care. I don't need to go and, bar like some special occasion. But it's like, for day to day, it's like, can we just have a uniform? I don't think it's like, we will own nothing and we will be happy. I don't think that's like some evil plot now. I actually think it's like, they just know something we don't know. They know something about humanity that we don't know. They've probably run trials on people and they're like, this is how it's going to work. This is just what humanity does at this point. If you watch a child with a phone, there's something about that. That child knows how to fucking use that phone. So it's like, if we imagine someone just has a record where they're just watching documentaries about how humanity was before this dark age or whatever, perhaps. And the world in which every male is satisfied beyond belief in this particular area, war cannot exist. War cannot exist. Like, dictatorship cannot exist. It's from making these things scarce that all the power comes from. And it's a very strange thing. And also, I mean, what we get to say, and this is lucky, we get to be like, so women saved the world, didn't they? Which we always knew they would. Girls saved the world, girl power. It's just you needed to have it distributed in the right way. And now one absolute fucking thing can fix the world's problems in an hour. Yeah, it's fucking interesting. It's an interesting, for my particular taste, for me sitting here in a room talking about this, having no connection to it, not innovating anything, and in fact, if anything, I'm trying to innovate like a side shoot. It's like almost like an emergency exit. It's like, hey, we should probably have that fucking thing going because this is a dangerous experiment. And even if it's not an experiment, I do actually really believe that we will need some type of different device that is very real, that concretes our reality for us to actually continue on stably. I think this will be this has the potential to be so disruptive that I think this, and the phones aren't going to cut it. The phones are the same problem. The phones are the beta version of these fucking headsets that are just around the corner. So yeah, it's why I think we need the bigger thing. And fuck, I could just be wrong. So I'm just watching. I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna keep watching. Like, I can't. It's like knowing there's a volcano coming. Like any of those, the movies. No one listens. It's like I'm cool with that. I've done my figures, like I can ride this out. I know it's just fucking, it's right there. I don't know any direction to go based on this. I know this is going to affect every single thing on Earth in combination with a bunch of other things. Like this could be also, weirdly, this could be what they use to bring us out of recession or to like equalize this inflation somehow. I don't really know how it's going to, I don't think anyone does, but they're just like, alrighty, we're just on this ride. But yeah, me personally, it affects me by not having direction. I'm not, and this is probably important. It's like, this is feedback. It's like, it's not that I'm not being lazy, and like I know when I'm being lazy. I'm not being lazy. I'm not having a breakdown. I'm just like stuck. I'm like, I don't know what to do. For the first time in my life, I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to sit here and wait and observe and just hold tight and be like, as soon as that pathway opens up, as soon as I have fucking 50% idea about what the world is going to be, then maybe I can continue on with investment or anything. It's like, but until that moment, I'm just going to hang tight. And that's feedback. It's like, that's what you're doing. If you're government, that's what you've allowed to happen in the world. And you're not communicating with us. You're not being like, hey, we're about to release, these technologies about to be revealed that's probably going to change the entire structure of the world. You're just like, oh, look at the building we built and here's a cut of ribbon and fucking here's what it... It's like, that's not leadership. You've just left us out to dry. And so where anyone that has enough sense to put this puzzle together and just be sitting here, it's like, it's incredibly uncomfortable. But you don't care. No one's listening. But at least I have a record of it. It probably makes me feel better as well, so I don't feel lazy. I'm just like, what am I going to do? Everything's a waste of fucking... I've never really felt like that. But just everything's a waste. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to offload anything. I don't want to start building anything. I don't want to move anything. It's just like, everything's this moving fucking ocean. So I'm just going to sit and wait for it to settle. And I'm quite comfortable with that. Yeah. It's and it's not like I've been here my whole life. I've worked my fucking ass off. My children are 11, 16, 17. Or it's 11, 15 and 16, but almost 16 and 17. So I just don't have any guilt. I've looked after my dad when he died. I've looked after my mum for a lot of years, and I'm just now taking this time to be like, to just silently observe what the fuck is coming and trying to put my little input in, because I do kind of have a feeling at some point they may be listening. I think they have to. I think it's their job. I think the whole thing is a giant fucking experiment to be like, we got to do this. They've got people that they watch just like this. Well, this guy's fucking decided to sit in his fucking thing and talk to his phone, and it's like, we better listen to him. He's an indicator. And there's like a dance. And it's like, I know that I'm probably being observed. And it's fucking weird. And I wish you would just fucking pay me, but that would probably fuck up the fucking thing. I'm like a mouse in a cage that you've given yourself authority to do. And I kind of know. And it's just weird. It is just super weird. I'm going to be pissed off at the end of this. But basically, you probably know that you're just like, well, here's fucking this. And I'll be like, okay. And this is what the whole world is this now. The whole world is a giant fucking lab. A giant fucking lab experiment. And they're just like, they're probably different regions, and they're like, we'll sample a little bit here. Let's put the VR here. Let's put the drugs here. Let's put them here. Ooh, we fucked that up. Oops. Stir it up. Fix it. Like, yeah. And not by conspiracy, just by fucking thousands of conspiracies. But yeah, that question to me is so at the front of my head. It's like, I just know it's going to it's going to affect the world in a way we haven't seen before. On par with, like, I mean, the internet itself and the telephone, it's like, but in a way different way. It's going to affect human incentives.